So it's chapter 7. We go into the Klipas Noige, Nefesh Achionis, which is the behemoths in the Israel. It's coming from the side of Klipa. That's the Klipas Noige. We're going to get into all the Klipas now. So again, it's the Nefesh Achionis in the blood. See, there's more. So he's going to list all the things that are parav, as we would say. It's not asr, it's not mutter. You have the animals and the birds and the fish that are tahor, meaning that they're kosher, and they're mutter ba'achila. Now, again, this is not kodush. If you have a food that has an OU and it's kosher, it doesn't make it kodush. Torah, mitzvahs are kodush. Food is not kodush. Kosher food is something that's mutter, and you can reveal the godliness in it. Again, everything's created by God, and therefore everything is screaming God, but the klipa is over it and stopping God being screamed out. So, for example, if you take that food and you make a bracha on it, you're revealing the God in it. If you're watching a Hollywood movie and they take food and they just put it in their mouth, it's like, where's the godliness in that Mars bar you just ate? So all these power of things, which is most of the world, that these are, again, it's mutter b'achila, it's just parav. All these things, again, these are your actions that are not mitzvah actions. For that's the things that you're talking about, just things that you're doing. You're up to stuff. You're going to work. Going to work is not kodesh, but it's not asr. Ein behem tzad isr, nothing wrong with them. Lo shoresh v'lo anaf, from the 365 mitzvahs lo tasa. It's just not l'shem shemayim. So that's what this klipa noige is. And now when you interact with klipas noige, you've got three options. Either you will keep it as it is, so you'll just have, you'll eat the food without the bracha. You will raise it up and you'll reveal the godliness in it, or you will destroy it and you will take it down, which you're going to go through. So what is like eating she'en l'shem shemayim? You just did it for the rotzon guf and your taiva. So doing all that means that you're not doing anything. You're tzarech guf. So you need the food to live. The chiyos mamash shekavanos is not l'shem shemayim, to serve Hashem with your guf. So again, this is how you're supposed to do. You say, I'm eating this Mars bar in order to serve God. Lo adife maise dibur machshava ela menefesh achinus behema ba'atzmo. So yeah, basically you haven't done anything with it. You have the klipas noige. And now klipa is klipa. It's not kodesh. So if we're splitting the world into two, we've got klipa and we've got kodesh. And then you have the klipas noige, which can go either way. And if you didn't raise it up, you kept it where it was, so it stays as klipa. Therefore, it's not kodesh. So as we said that there's only two things. It's either sitra achara, the other side, or there's God. There's kedusha. So if you don't lift it up, then you've left it in the state of klipa. You've left it in the state of tuma, and you had the opportunity to make it kodesh, to reveal God in the item, and you never did that. Kol kasher, hakol kasher lakol nishba nishnach medrus hashenis shebeklipas v'sitra achara shehi klipa revius and ikros klipas noige. So this is the fourth level of the klipa, and if you don't do anything, it stays as klipa, and you haven't done anything to it. That's the olam asiyah. Ruba kekulo ra. Rak me'otov me'orav b'toicha. So most of this is in the klipa. If you have a Mars bar, I mean most of it's sugar or whatever, but you have a very little amount of toiv that's in it, and you can raise that up for the good. So you have in the klipas noige, and you have in the behemoths the nefesh behema, you have the midas toivus, which we discussed before. So that all comes from the little bit of good that's in it. And that's the bechinim, the middle bit between the three klipas, tumas legamri imam dechiris begres hakadusha. So the klipas noige is in the middle. What are you going to do? Are you going to raise it up or put it down? Now, again, most of the world is klipa noige. There again, even if you just go to a supermarket, most food in a supermarket is going to be kosher, especially in America, especially in Israel. Most of the stuff you're just going to find in a supermarket is going to be kosher. Some stuff is also. I mean, if you go to Walmart, what percentage of Walmart is pig and shellfish? So most of the stuff is going to be klipas noige, and then how much of the world is Torah and mitzvahs? So you have a very small percentage of the world which is kodesh, very small percentage which is also klipa, and then you have the klipas noige, which is most of existence. And therefore, sometimes sometimes it's going to become like the klipas tuma if you don't do anything with it, Or sometimes it goes to the level of Kedusha. That's when the toiv that is mixed in it is got birur. So here we have an idea of birur, which is finding the good, the sparks of holiness that's in a item and revealing it. So a simple thing would be to take an apple and make a bracha on the apple, and then when you eat the apple, you are going to use the calories from the apple to do a mitzvah. We'll see some more applications after that, but then you nisbara mehara. So you've taken it out of this apple was a screaming God, and all of a sudden you see the godliness in it because you're doing mitzvahs with that energy. You're saying the bracha on the apple, and you now again you've saved it from klipa. You're showing the godliness that's in it. The goiver, the oile, the nechla bekedusha, so it goes up and becomes kedusha. Kagon derech moshe. Now have a look at the example that the Tanya uses of elevating klipas noig, because it's going to be instructional through life. Here it means that by eating fatty ox meat and drinking fine wine. Now specifically here, he could have just said you eat meat, or he said that you drink water or you drink wine. But here it's Davka wine mevusham and it's basha shemena. So that here you see that to engage in luxury goods is a Jewish idea, and it's an idea of avoida, that it's not just when you're in the world to take as little as possible out of the world and just enough that you can exist in order that you can run off into your corner and be holy. No, but you engage in the fatty meat and engage with the fine wines. Laharchiv daisoi lahashem v'torisoi. And really laharchiv daisoi, that there's a Rava didn't understand the sugya, and he says, well, I haven't drinking wine or eaten my meat yet, and after I eat the meat I'll be able to explain the sugya to you. So, or b'shulakayim mitzvahs oineg Shabbos v'yom tov. Now here it's not that you're eating the meat. There's two levels here. One is that you feel good, you do good things, you buy nice things, you enjoy your life, and that gives you simcha, and through that simcha you're able to oived Hashem b'simcha. And you have a lot of the time that when people deny themselves, especially you have people from the Western world come into Harediville, and they deny themselves all the things that they had in the Western world, and then they feel a lacking, and they feel a level of lack of simcha, and it's difficult for them to serve the simcha. And as someone was explaining, he said, God's not on my team. And that's the way that you can have a relationship with God, that it's me versus him. And sometimes he helps me and sometimes he doesn't, because he doesn't serve God with simcha, because he sees a fatty piece of meat and says, oh, it's osir. Here we're saying, no, eat the fatty piece of meat, engage in it. That's the klipas noige. Bring out the godliness that's in that. Be happy by having it, and use that in order to have simcha in your avodas Hashem. Now, again, there is a bit of are you going to be swallowed up by it? And you have to have an idea of the more gashmias that I get myself into. Am I raising the gashmias up, or is the gashmias bringing me down? And there's definitely a cheshbon to do there. But as an ideal or as an idea, then eating the fatty meat and drinking the wine, again, don't become a behemoth while you're doing it and stuff in your face and losing but you can eat it, and you can, again, it's the fatty meats davka to charachiv daiso, that you can bring that simcha into your vodas Hashem. So, or a second level is that you eat, it doesn't say here that you eat the meat on Shabbos, but it davka the oineg Shabbos and Yontov. Why does he have to add the word oineg here? Why can't I just eat the meat on Shabbos? Now, seemingly, if I have fine fatty steaks every day, so then eating on Shabbos, what real difference does it make? But if I don't eat fatty steaks and I keep all the good stuff for Shabbos, so then Memela, that is my Oneg Shabbos. Memela, it is the Oneg Shabbos to have the nice things on Shabbos, and therefore I'm again indulging in the luxuries on Shabbos is my avodas Hashem, and I am lifting up the klipas noga. I'm going into the klipas noga and lifting it up, so that you see that the point of it, that because most of the existence is the klipas noga, as we've explained before, since the most of existence is the klipas noga, so therefore, if the idea is to be peiresh from the world and to separate yourself from the world and only take as much as you can, as much as that's needed, and don't have the fatty steaks, so then there's not much for you to do in the world. But because the desire of God that He created the world and He saw the world and it was Toiv Ma'od, that the goal is to enter into the Klipos Noige and bring it up. So when you have again, like you go into life and raise it up and bring it back to God. So the idea of having a banning iPhones. So that would be an Asur idea, because the point of existence is to go into existence and reveal the godliness and not to be perish from it. And again, if the whole point was just to stay in Shemayim, so then we didn't have to come down into this world. So why are we here in this world? To interact with this Klipos Noige and bring out the godliness that's in it. And as a klal on the whole of the Tanya, the whole point of the Nefesh Elokis isn't really getting much from coming down here, but it's a Nefesh Behema. But then when you do the birur of the Nefesh Behema and bring out the godliness in the Nefesh Behema, then the Nefesh Elokis gets a raise out of it. That's the whole point of existence. And therefore, banning things, again, iPhone is like the classic example of Klipos Noige. You can learn Torah in it, and you can do Averas in it. What are you going to do? Or you could just read the newspaper in it. You keep it as it is. You do mitzvahs, or you go down with it. It's a perfect example, and the iPhone is just a example, a microcosm of life. As every decision which you have, it's more difficult. So again, you can still get pork. Especially the Chutz La'aretz, it's like easier to find the issues, but it might be easier to find some issues on an iPhone. But the point is to raise it up. That's what it's there for. So as zayin dispar achiyas basar v'hayayin shahaya nifsham meklipos noige. So after doing the birur, so then you get the birur. So the chiyus of the basar, you're doing birur on the chiyus of the basar. So that the life force of the basar that God is giving it, its life force, you're doing birur on it, showing, revealing the life force is God. And therefore everything is, even an iPhone, it only exists because of God. And then says in the Tanya, korban. And then when you do that, when you do birur in the Klipos Noige, you have an aliyah. It's like mamish bringing a korban. Now, we don't have much opportunity to bring korbans here, but here interacting in the world and lifting up, doing birur and the Klipos Noige, that's like bringing a korban. We also have the idea that you tell a joke to people and to give people l'shmech liboy to be happy. So before the shir, they used to tell a joke, and we saw a sugya before about how there's machlokas there if it's osir to be happy in this world. So here, Tanya's saying that it's a mitzvah to have the bedicha. When you have the joke, you have the kedusha that's in. It's not late sonus; it's a level before late sonus, but it's that you have the kedusha of of having fun and telling jokes. And you use that in order to bring samach libo lahashem l'toras of avodah, so that when you're happy, it's easier to win the battle. As what he'll say later, it's easier to win the battle when you're happy. It's easier to do mitzvahs when you're happy, and therefore go into the Klipos Noige, make yourself happy for your avodas Hashem, because you need to be in simcha. And like Rava did to his Talmud, that he said before them a joke first, and then he would give the shir. So there's a bit of a hikira here. I heard someone say that as long as the joke isn't dirty, as long as it's a clean joke. But maybe you can learn that if it's a dirty joke, then you're bringing that up as well. Unless you want to say it's the tuma, and you can't bring dirty jokes into kedusha, or it depends on what dirty means. So. So that was a discussion about Klipos Noige. So now we're going to see about teshuvah and what happens to the Klipos. We've done things that are kind of mutter. You just leave it there, or you turn it into kedusha and then you bring it up. But now somebody who's zoyle basar v'sovayayin. So here, this is the tzad of Isser, that you're guzzling, you're not eating the food, even though again it's completely mutter. You're just guzzling the food and drinking the wine, because for your taiva, the taivas of your guf and your nefesh, behemoths. That's the bechinas yod chod hamayim. So we saw this before that your taivas are coming from the mayim. Out through this that the chiyas the boser v'chayin shebekirbo nechlos fisha bara gomor. So that since again you haven't done anything yesterday, this is like menova b'reshus Torah, that because you ate it for your own desires and your own taivas. So therefore, it goes into what we'll see why it's nechlav lefrisha. Basically, you need to do teshuva. Until you do teshuva, it goes down bara, and you go down when you give in to your taivas. You could have been kodesh and you weren't. You're sitra achara now, and you bring the food with you. Ra gomor shebelshosh klipos atumas. You bring it in, even though again this is all mutter. This is novel b'reshus Torah. So again, you have 50 wives, and you're going the whole day with this stuff. You're just eating and sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and then that will bring it down. Even though it's matzah, you bring it down to the 3 klipos of tuma. V'guf naseh lehen levush u'merkava lefisha, and your guf becomes a merkava and a levush for the tuma. For a time. So again, we saw before that you can be a merkava for the mitzvahs and a merkava for God. Now you're going to be merkava for tuma. Until man does teshuva and he does chazara to vodas Hashem Torah. Because just like he was baser heter v'yan kosher. So again, he didn't eat something that was aser. It is again, this is what's called mutter. And the mutter means that it's unbound, it's untied, therefore it's able to return and go up with him. So it goes with you that when you do teshuva, so you just like you went down and you were stuffing your face with your taivas, you brought the food down with you. So therefore, when you do teshuva, you'll bring them back up with you. So it's like stuck with you when you do shuvla avodas Hashem, and that's lashon heter or mutter, because it's not tied down there. It's not tied in the. You bring it down into the tomb. It's not tied in the tomb. It's untied. Therefore, when you go up, it's able to go up with you. It's not kosher v'aser b'dei chitzonos shelo yichol lachzor v'los Hashem. Now, that's. But there'll still be a reshima. There'll still be a small bit that's left in the guf, and through that you will need chibut kever, which will be explained later on. Chibut kever is one of the afterlife punishments where they say like chibud is like when you have a what's it called, a rug that needs that's dusty, and you start hitting it to get the dust off. That's the idea of chibud kever, which you'll get. Now that's all. So here you've done teshuva. Here we have a chiluk here between teshuva miyira and teshuva miyava. Here, the teshuva we're talking about here, when you bring it out, will be teshuva miyira. Teshuva miyira is that I don't want to get punished, and therefore I'll do the teshuva. Teshuva miyava is that I am distraught about the relationship, that chas v'chalila, the relationship has a problem, and I will do everything I can in order to fix this relationship. So the teshuva miyira will put you back into the books, but you haven't fixed the problem. So if you break your neighbor's window and you go and say sorry for breaking your window, he can accept your apology and he doesn't hate you for breaking his window, but lamais, the window is still broken. So you have the two levels of teshuva, where the teshuva miyira will get you forgiveness, but the teshuva miyava will fix the window. So you've done the teshuva miyira, but you still have this, the damage is still done, which you'll need chibut hakever to fix. And also the chiyush betifa zera sheyetzim imenu b'taivus behemus. So again, this is when you're having relations with your wife in a mutter manner. So it comes out b'taiva, but it's coming because you're doing taivus behemus. Because you didn't kodesh asma b'shas tashim semisha tahira, that you're just like stuffing your face with kosher food. You're with your wife in a mutter manner. It's all the same idea. Now here, it's not the same with machelas asorus, because the machelas asorus are it's an iser mamish, and therefore since it's klipas tuma, then you can't release them. You can't get out of them. Abuse asorus and shlosh klipas tuma lagamri. It's aser, and they are tied la'olam with the chitzoni, and it doesn't come from them until. So in the time of Mashiach, that Mashiach is klipa Klipa is covering over God, and Klipa is about separation. And in the time of Mashiach, then God will be revealed, and there will be no separation. So therefore, everything will be. So therefore, there will be no Klipa anymore. Not naturally in those times, but the Malachos Asurus, you're not able to fix it because that's what Osir is. I mean, it's tied, and therefore you can't bring it back up. So and he brings the pasuk. Or sheyaset teshuva gedola kol kach. I'm going to get into this idea of teshuva mi'ava, that when you do teshuva mi'ava, which is talking about sama nafsho, that you're thirsting for God like a dry land. You're not just doing teshuva because that's what the book says. And the B'dish of Rav says that the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur teshuva mi'yira, but then Sukkot is teshuva mi'ava. Because teshuva mi'ava, you have all the mitzvahs in your how you got simcha, whereas Yom Kippur you have to fast and you have to do all the el-chades because the book says it, and you do the teshuva, but it's not from a place of simcha, it's a place from yira. You're not thirsting to do that teshuva. So when you do the level of teshuva mi'ava, which is explained here, so then you're actually able to bring the machalos asoros up because you've actually fixed something with this teshuva mi'ava. The teshuva mi'ava rabbi amr zonin nasis kazochius, so that your zodon is your sins that you did on purpose are made like a zechut, that it's like a good mitzvah because you're actually loving God on a greater level. So you actually have a point. Why did God create? Why did bad things happen? Why did God create bad? So God didn't create any bad. Everything that happens is good. It's that we have the ability and we have the opportunity to do bad, and we can bring the klipas noiga and bring it into the tuma, and we can go and we can eat tuma things and create bad ourselves. God didn't do anything bad. However, why would bad things happen? So lemaisa, because if you do teshuva mi'alva, so you can actually transform the bad into good, something that had no ability to become good. Somebody who does the avera and then does teshuva mi'alva actually brings it up out of there, and then obviously if you do the avera on purpose, then it doesn't work. So the teshuva mi'alva, so even though it's teshuva nechoina, Hashem will give him forgiveness. So this is shalom mi'ava. So this, if you do teshuva mi'ira, God gives you forgiveness, but it doesn't become like a zechut, and it doesn't go up from the klipa lagamri until the end of time, which we've explained. So now we get into more averas. This is the zera levatala, and there's a lot of dealing with zera levatala in the Tanya, and the main reason why so much dealing with the zera levatala is because that's what everyone has been sending for thousands of years. So obviously he's going to talk about it. The light that's in the tipa zera that comes out levatala, even though it goes down and it's in the shlosh klipas atuma. Here he's going to say you don't need teshuva mi'ava to take it out of the klipas tuma. That there's a big kula in zera levatala which you don't have by the actual averas, because it goes from there with teshuva nechoina, which is teshuva mi'ira, and the kavana itself, a kriya shema lamita. So that's kriya shema lamita with kavana on the words, the pirush and milas, what the words mean. So that will be able to do teshuva for that. And why is that? It's just explaining here that the Kriya Shema is helping. Now it'll explain here in the Hagah that when there's a bia surah, so therefore there's an akeva that is makabel the iser and gives it a kli to makabel the iser and gives it a kiyum. But with the zera levatala, there is no kli, even though it's a terrible sin. Whatever, there's no kli, and therefore has less of a kiyum. Since it has less of a kiyum, then therefore you're able to do teshuva. It doesn't need the teshuva mi'ava. Teshuva mi'ira is enough, plus the kriya shema. And so we're going to explain. It's not explained here zera levatala in the Torah with the Beres Asura. So what we read on Yom Kippur at Mincha with all the Bias Asuras, all the people that are also to you and carrots and all this type of stuff, zera levatala is not in there, even though it's a big issue. Why is this? It's chomer mihan, he says here. The gadol avu his great sin in the Bechinas Gedolos Varibo Etuma the klip. It's terrible. So since it has, when you have the bias asurus, it gives koyach to the klipa because there's the nekeva that is makabelet. But if you do the teshuva miyava rabba kol kach until you have, so even if you have a bias asurus, then still teshuva miyava will solve that problem. Except but ezemov shelo yichol litaken zeh shabal al erev v'holid mamzer. But you can't fix it when there's a mamzer. So the mamzer is even with teshuva miyava, you can't fix it because kavar yardel oilam is venisha beguf basar v'dam. So the avera per se has a basar v'guf called the mamzer, and that mamzer child is actually the manifestation of this isser in this world, and therefore even teshuva miyava can't fix that. The Chovos Levavos says, if you, as how I remember it, it says, if you do enough teshuva, God will kill the mamzer in His chesed. So it's just the ways of how the teshuva, what the teshuva is doing. The teshuva is working with the klippas and bringing things out, and but it can't bring out the Isser. Again, you have teshuva miyira will get forgiveness, won't fix the damage. Teshuva miyava will fix the damage. But some things it can't fix, which will be a mamzer. So it moves it into Chilek 8, which I have seen labeled as Klippas, the Shalosh Tumas, which I think is an incorrect, because we've already seen it, and really this is going to be about absorption of Klippa, how we absorb Klippa. So you have the forbidden foods, and that's called Isser, because even if you eat, even if you eat the forbidden Isser and you didn't know about it, there's forbidden food, you didn't know about it, someone gave you food, said it was kosher, turns out it wasn't kosher, so you ate it by accident. There's no Isser done until, even though you ate the Isser, you didn't do an Isser. You did a Shem Shemayim, and I want to eat this food that I didn't know wasn't kosher, because I want to serve God. And even b'poil, you did so. You used those calories, and you did tremendous mitzvahs and tefillas and Torah, and you learned and you daven with this achila. The achiyas in it never goes up, and in the words of the Torah, like it does with heter. So when you have the heter, it's like, well, your words that are created from that Mars bar becomes the words of Torah, and then they become, you're raising up this Mars bar. You can't do that with the Osir fruits, because the Osir fruits are tied down. Osir with the Sitra Achara, the three klippas, and even though it's Issa Rabbanan, even an Issa Rabbanan is worse, so therefore, even if there's Issa Rabbanan, it still doesn't help, and therefore the Yitzhara, so any desire you have for Osir things, so whether it's chametz on Pesach, or a ham and cheese sandwich, or eating McDonald's, whatever it is, that's all coming from the Goyish shade, because Shu Yetzirah from the Goyim, because their not nefesh, as we said before, is from the Klippas Tamea, and therefore their taivas are for Tamei taivas. And again, we said before that the Jew has a desire for, or the nefesh of Lakis has a desire for bittul and a desire for God, whereas the nefesh behema is self-preservation, and that the goy can never do anything lishma. Everything they're doing is, what can I get out of it? But the Jewish nefesh behema, if it goes on the side of the nefesh Lakis, can do something that's transparent and not for itself. So therefore, when you have a desire for something that's for your own taivas, that's aser, so therefore that's going to be from the taivas of the goyim. But that's not with the taivas of the, for something mutter, just to have your taiva, that's from the Jewish, because you're able. So again, even you have, what we're saying here is that if you have a desire for bacon, now if you eat that bacon, so you're never going to raise it up. And even though you just want to stuff your face with meat. Now, if you get that South African meat, billabong, whatever the hell they call it, and then you stuff your face with that, and it's got a good texture on it, whatever. So there, even though you're just doing it to stuff your face, you're able to chayzer lekadusha kadadayal. So with teshuva, and when you get your head straight, and you say, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that. We're gonna get this right. And now I've still got those calories in my body. I'm gonna turn those calories around and use it for kedusha. So then you're able to raise it up because it's mutter, but you're not able to raise up the bacon because it's usher. But Mikomokum Koidim, before you return it to Kedusha, it's Klipa. And also after that you have the Rishimo, as we've said above. So therefore it doesn't need the chibut hakever to clean it from the tumah that it got from the hanas olamazeh. V'tana mitumas klipas noigev v'shadin Yehuda. Elam kein mishalo nena meilomazeh kol yimav karebi hakodesh. So here, so that the guf will need. So even though they had the heter, you'll need the chibut hakever for all your taivas, except if you lived a life like Rebbe. Now, what exactly did Rabbeinu Hakodesh do? It says the Rebbe, when he died, he's put his fingers up to the Shemaim and he said, "I never got hana from this world like as my little finger." Now he had tremendous. Again, he was delving in the luxuries and he was engaging in the luxuries. So what exactly did he do with these taivas? Now, he lived in a time where there was great persecution before and after his life, but he became best buddies with and Tinanos and was able to with this power and all this money and position that he was able to write the Mishnah. So the Klal Ganzen his whole life was l'shem shemaim in order to bring out the Mishnah. So you can see that either Rebbe, all his hana was l'shem shemaim. He never actually got hana for himself, and then he hana. So something like again Oineg Shabbos that he was having great meals for mitzvahs. I've heard about people who only eat at Sudas mitzvahs. Rebbe was something like that, or he had again he brought himself to simcha through all the luxuries that he brought himself to the hana he got in the Lamazeh. He brought it to be misameach and bring himself to Oived Hashem, and therefore the etzim of the hana was not for him, and therefore he was able to he didn't need, again, that type of person doesn't need this chibut hakiver. So we're going to see what's the problem of eating the food when it wasn't, you didn't do anything wrong because you thought it was mutter? Because the food, just like we said that like Torah is like lechem. So here, when you eat the food becomes part of you, and your guf has taken on this isser food. So if somebody breaks Shabbos, he turns the light on Shabbos, whatever it is, his guf didn't absorb Shabbos. He did a maisa that's osir. But if you eat osir foods, then your guf absorbs osir. Your guf absorbs this. So therefore, it's a more problematic thing that you can't clean it so easily because it's because there's an absorption into your blood, into your body. Now the antidote for eating asur foods is learning Torah. I'd say one of the reasons would be because it's like the yang of, because the Torah you learn is absorbed in your nefesh. So when the food you eat is absorbed in your guf, so therefore you learn the Torah in order to absorb that Torah to kind of kick out the absorbed food. Now, devarim betelim beheter. So these are when you're speaking nonsense. So the classic case would be talking about sport. So he's not able to learn. So there's no idea of bittul Torah by this guy. So he's devarim betelim. He's talking about the sport game, and it's in a matter of heter because there's no bittul Torah. He needs to tahar nefshe mitumazu from this klipa through gugula b'kafa kela. A kafa kela is an idea where you get thrown from one end to the other. So you get thrown into Shemayim and you have like a revelation of Shemayim and you see all that. And then you get thrown back into your Divrei Betela. As it's written, that's kind of how the Zohar describes it apparently. So that you see the pain of talking nonsense when you go up to Shemayim and you're chatting away with God and the angels and Moses and Rabbi Kiva, and then you get thrown back to see that you were talking about who threw a pigskin 30 yards or stuck the pigskin in the onion net. And that these things are so irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, but this is what you engage yourself in this world. So therefore the Kafah Kela is the cleanliness process. Again, all these processes in order to cleanse yourself, in order that you can then be get that close relationship to God without these things you're doing in this world dragging you down. But Devorim Asurim, so if you're talking about football, okay, that's fine. But if you're but Davar that's Asur, like Litzonis, again, Litzonis would be the maybe the dirty jokes or the beduchas that are you're attacking people as opposed to laughing at you versus laughing with you. So here you're in the Lashon Hara, so then you are speaking, you're engaging your dibur in things that's like it's becoming part of you by speaking them, and now rather than speaking about football, you're speaking things that are mamash aser. That's from the three klipas to Lagamri. Even the kela by itself helps the tahor to remove from the nefesh, and you also now you need to go to Gehenom because the kafir kela again will help you for different betela that are mutter be'ikr. That since talking about football is not a davar iser, but then if you speak lashon hara, now you've got an iser. There you go down to Gehenom again to cleanse yourself so you can be close to God. And somebody who can't, me who efsher to oisik b'toira. Now, if you can learn Torah and then you're talking about football, then for sure the kafakela isn't going to help your just the oinshim, the chamurim that you punish for bittul Torah, bepratius, except for the klal oinish of bittul mitzvah because of atzilus, because of gehenim shel sheleg. So here atzilus is laziness, and then you have the gehenim shel sheleg. Again, the idea that hell is a fiery furnace is from Dante's Inferno or something, and all these Christian ideas, and again the Jews just embrace the idea hell is fire. The hell can be fire, but it depends. Again, if you're passionate, crimes of passion will get a fiery Gehenim. But here, laziness is cold. I have a level of I care. I don't care. So therefore, it's sheleg, which is cold. And kol oisek b'chachams umas ha'olam. So now we go high. This was just speech. Speech that's mutter, speech that's aser. And now we have oisek b'chachams umas ha'olam, because this now goes into your mind. This is invading your thoughts. Are also included in Betel Miachshev Le'inyan Avon Bittul Torah, like we said in the Hilchas Talmud Torah. So that's in the Shulchan Aruch. So v'od yitera tumas shel chachmas ha'umas al tumas devarim betelim. So we're saying it's worse to learn chachmas ha'umas, which will be history of Ireland between the 1000s and the 18 whatever that I did at school. This is the Chachmas Ha'umos. That's worse than Devarim Betelim. She'enim malvish matamim raka midus. Miyosod ruach hakodesh shebenefesh elokis. So the ruach, the dibur is coming from the ruach, and therefore that's where it doesn't really get ingrained in you when you speak. In the Tumas Klipas Noiga Bedevarim Shebetelim Haboy Miyosod ruach Shebeklipas Zu. The lo begins Chachmas bina das. So it goes into your Chabad when you learn the Chachmas of Goyim, and it enters into your Chabad in your Nefesh. So since it's all a load of nonsense, so that even the idiots can talk about it. So therefore, in your Chachma is invaded by things. And now it's not clear to me if physics and mathematics is that also included here in Shtosh and Burus? Is that the Chachmas Umas? I mean, the Gro used to do physics and maths on the toilet. So that's not really what the Chachmas Ha'olam are. But I don't know, trading on Wall Street, that type of stuff would be listening to music. Especially the Jewish music, because the Jewish music just steal Goyish music. It's not Jewish music. Just stealing Jewish Goyish music. That's in Chachmas Umas Gedolim Mizu. Masha Enkem Chachmas Umas. Who Malbush Matame Bechinas Chachmas Binadas. So the Chachmas Umas are in your Chachmas Binadas, in your Nefesh. Lokis, but Tumas Klipas Noiges Bechachmas Selos. So again, it's still Klipas Noy, because even though, again, what do we say? We say that something is on a Kodesh, it's Aser, it's Klipas Noige. Now the Chachmas Ha'olam, it's not Kodesh. It's definitely not Kodesh. It's not Tuma, so it's Klipas Noiga. Chenaflu Shama B'Shir Sakelim. So they got the Klipas Noiga got into them through that. So therefore we have the idea that what's so bad about learning Chachmas Ha'umas is that it's absorbed into your Chabad. That we had first that you have the food that gets absorbed into your bloodstream. That's the food. Then you start speaking about things, which absorbs in your mind, is thinking about what you're speaking, and it takes over your ruach. And then you have now that your chabad is being taken over by the klipa, so that you're absorbing. This is a terrible sin because you're absorbing the chachmas of it's an absorption into your high level functioning, which you use to learn Torah. So now, obviously, through the generations, we've had lots of people who are dealing in the Chachmas Ha'ulam, Chachmas Ha'umas, and with the Rebbe went to Sorbonne, famously, yet he knew the Tanya. So we have in here the Heterim. So Elam came oisa etam kordum lahachtuk bechem. So he used them as a axe to chop them. Tahayinu kedei lefres mehem berevach lavod Hashem. So firstly, is in order to get a job, to get a parnasa from them, and then it's not berevach. So it's not just to get a parnasa from him, but to get a parnasa from berevach. But it's not berevach; it's the berevach to serve Hashem. You want lots of money to serve Hashem. Now they ask, why is he using this marshal of chopping up wood with an axe? And to just say, if you use them for parnasa. So they say that when you have a axe and you're chopping wood, no one actually wants to chop wood. And why are you chopping the wood? Just for the wood that comes out of it. So that you're chopping the wood, and then as soon as you finish chopping the wood, you take the wood and you leave. You don't get involved in chopping the wood for the sake of chopping wood. You don't chop wood forever that you're not going to use. You're just chopping wood because you love chopping so much. So that it's a hard job, it's a difficult thing. So people don't do it; they just do it for what they need, and then they leave it alone. So this is an idea of a marshal of how to engage in it and how to engage in parnasa. So that's level number one, that you're using it in order to get a parnasa. And again, then when you're using to get a parnasa, then that's the klipas noiga, using the klipas noiga. So then you lift it up. Oh, sheyoda leishtamesh behen levodas Hashem or leterasol v'zet tamish Rambam and the Ramban zachron levracha. Here we have the second level, which is that I'm learning it in order to serve Hashem better. So there's a taisus about pi. So I'm going to learn maths in order that I will understand the taisus better. I want to learn astrology in order that I can understand God and how He works. And I learn all these things in order to bring it out to reveal God in them. Now, seemingly, this is a difficult thing to do because he follows up. This is why the Rambam and the Ramban were doing it. Why does he have to give examples? It's the only people of this level are able to engage on the second level, which is where you're learning Umas Oilam L'Shem Shemaim. That's a level that's not so easy to do, and that they're able to go into them and not be tainted by them. But most people, if they do it for the second reason, then they are. And again, another reason would be, again, this is extremely dangerous, is to learn it for Kiruv, where either you're going to become the expert here in order that you can speak to people in the field and makarv them and show them how God's in whatever they're learning or the mistakes they're making or whatever it is. But there's two ways in order to engage in the chochmas of the oilam. And the simple way to do it is just chopping the wood for parnasa, that is mutter. But whatever you do, it's important to understand this idea that when you're involving yourself with klipa, then you're absorbing the klipa. And that if you're not raising it up so that klipa gets absorbed in your guf, and there's different ways, so that can get absorbed in your guf, which will affect you in different ways. And that the worst way is when you have klipa absorbed in your mind, in your chabad, and then it can chas v'chalila poison a man's mind.